Welcome to Capital One Bowl Mania.
Welcome to the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. And we welcome you to Las Vegas. Boise State playing in this game for the 5th time. They've never lost. One of their previous victims, Washington. And one more opportunity for Chris Petersen to run out of the tunnel with his Huskies, retiring after 6 tremendous seasons. And his opponent, his old team in Boise State, and his old protege in Bryan Harsin, as the Huskies take the field here at Sam Boyd Stadium, looking to make some memories in a game that has produced so many in years past.
And welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got action for you.
The Washington Huskies are hoping to rock Boise State's world.
Final game at Washington for Chris Petersen against his old school, Boise State.
This is a big bowl game. Boise State and Washington, one of the best places to play.
It's a combination between a funeral and a wedding, but it's more of a wedding.
I think it's time to let go.
Steven Jackson, he's the real deal. Jackson into the clear. Touchdown, Marshawn Lynch. What an effort. It's no good. And the Cougars celebrate another Las Vegas Bowl win.
Off to the right, curls in. The Broncos win this bowl for the 3rd consecutive year.
The Las Vegas Bowl's home away from home. The fellas from the blue.
Use what you will on your opponent today. It is game time.
I think it's time to let go.
And as you can see, Chris Petersen has hoisted this trophy as a member of the Broncos in years past. Here comes Boise State, set to take on Washington, and we are set for action here in Las Vegas. Should be a good one. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen. Happy to be along Kirk Herbstreit tonight here in Las Vegas. Molly McGrath will join us from down on the field in just a moment. These are 2 fan bases and 2 teams that are amped up for this game. You can take, I think, maybe the head coaching drama out of it. We'll talk about that. But when you were down on the field and got a sense from the 2 teams, what was the vibe?
Yeah, I think anytime you get a pre-Christmas bowl game, the narrative sometimes for fans is, are they motivated? Are they excited? Is it going to be competitive? Just being around these coaches and these players the last couple days, and especially on the field before the game, without a doubt, they're both fired up for obvious reasons. They also want to just go out with a win to end the 2019 season.
Well, for Boise State, it's an accomplishment to have this record and be in this game, considering what they've gone through this year at quarterback.
I mean, you could make an argument that Bryan Harsin, the head coach, did his best job as a head coach. You could see with Hank Bachmeier, who exploded on the scene in Tallahassee against Florida State. He's 7-0, but he's got beat up. And then Chase Cord got an opportunity. And then Jalen Henderson, maybe the story of the year, the last 4 games, a 3rd-string quarterback comes in, and he ultimately wins the Mountain West Conference Championship and was the MVP of the game. So, tremendous story. Bachmeier gets the start tonight, the freshman. I'm anxious to see him in person. I've been a big fan of his all year.
Now, there's no quarterback controversy for Washington. We know who will be under center for them. It's Jacob Eason. I guess the question is, will this be his last game under center? Because he has a decision to make.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's got a big arm. I personally think he needs to come back and play another year of college football. If you've watched him play this year, there are moments where you say, wow, this guy has it. But there are also moments where he was inconsistent with his decision making. It's not just about his physicality. It's about his mind and continuing to get reps, learning how to read coverage. He'll have his hands full tonight against a Boise State team that's undersized defensively, but really likes to come after quarterbacks and apply a lot of pressure.
And can he get one more win for his head coach, Chris Petersen, against his old team in Boise State? We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Game time here in Las Vegas. Bob Wischusen, Kirk Herbstreit, Molly McGrath. Set for the kick. Washington won the toss and deferred to the 3rd quarter. So it's Tim Horn kicking it deep to John Hightower, who can fly. If he gets a chance at a return, he's going to bring it out from 6 yards deep. And he will barely make it across the 15-yard line. And Molly, how about the emotions for the Washington head coach tonight?
Yeah, well, Washington players almost laughed when Chris Petersen told them that he was stepping down after this game because they thought that he was joking. But that near laughter quickly turned to shock, as Jacob Eason told me no one saw this news coming. And I caught up with Chris Petersen before he took the field, and he told me he addressed his team for the final time last night.
I said a lot, you know, my last time to talk to those guys, and but it was great. I mean, we had an awesome team meeting, and I appreciate these guys a ton.
Thank you, Coach. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, Molly.
The emotions for Chris Petersen, I know he's trying to downplay it, but to stand in front of your team for the final time can't be easy.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the first time it hit him, because I think emotionally he's been just kind of putting things on the back burner. Even with our visit with him yesterday over at their team hotel, he really didn't want to go there. He's just trying to stay focused on, you know, kind of what you'd expect from him. But I bet standing up that last time, I'm sure that affected him emotionally.
End around to Hightower. And he is a shade shy of the first down, brought down by Brandon Wellington. So the freshman Hank Bachmeier, who began the season as the starter, and in his 7 starts, he's undefeated, but he was on the injury carousel. We're expecting to see all 3 quarterbacks tonight, but he's obviously getting the start.
I remember watching him early in the year, the opening game for Boise State when they played Florida State, and they got down, and they kept fighting back, as you'd expect from a Boise State Bryan Harsin coach team. And I was so impressed with this guy as a true freshman to have the moxie going up against a very athletic defense on the road for his first start. He ended up going that day, I think he ended up 30 of 51 through 51 passes to bring Boise State back. But this kid is intelligent. He's very accurate, makes really good decisions. It's great to see him back in the lineup.
Well, the play clock's already down to 10 as Boise State late getting out of the huddle for a 3rd down and 1 to try and keep this drive alive.
Use a timeout.
And from the sideline, Bryan Harsin saw his team hurrying. So he brings the true freshman quarterback over for a chat. Oh, I have a chance. Let's check tonight's keys to the game presented by Dollar General.
Well, I think if you start with Boise State, the 2 quarterbacks, Bachmeier and Henderson, you're going to see Henderson tonight, but they've got to be able to get them into just a comfort zone within this offense. And defensively, they want to stop the run game and pressure Jacob Eason. Remember, they're undersized, so they'll have to load up against that Washington run game. For Washington, it's just trying to find consistency. They've not been able to run the ball down the stretch very well. Puts a lot more on Jacob Eason and what they're trying to do offensively. So I think tonight, if you're Boise State, take away that running game and try to see if you can get after him with some creative looks and see if he'll throw the ball into traffic, which, again, down the stretch, he has done this year.
Now, the Huskies lost all 4 starters from the secondary last season, and their 2 leading tacklers in Tevis Bartlett and Ben Burkervin, and still have had a pretty good season. Looking at a 3rd and 1 here to open up. Hand off George Holani, and he's got the first down and then some.
But they'll use that jet sweep look on almost every snap, and they threaten you with it, and they'll hand that off. You can see how it holds the edge of the defense, and ultimately McDuffie, the freshman, 22, makes the tackle, but he had to respect that jet sweep. Bryan Harsin has found that as kind of an equalizer, just kind of a wrinkle that this offense will use, and you'll see it often with a variety of different receivers to try to make the defense respect that outside edge run, and it opens up the inside running game very well.
Here comes a blitz. Holani runs away from it and is able to grind out about a yard. If he is able to find a way to gain 8 more, he'll have 1,000 on the season.
How impressive has he been as a true freshman? You get 1,000 yards as a freshman in this offense, and he's sharing duties with Mahone and even Van Buren. You've got 3 backs, but another true freshman like Bachmeier comes out of a great high school program at St. John Bosco, and just a physical runner for a young back. Looks like they're bringing a blitz again, trying to stir up some trouble. Here comes Bryant.
Boise State picks it up, and it opens up a seam route for John Bates, the tight end. Pass protection, the key for Bachmeier.
But the blitz comes from the left right here. It's 2nd play in a row, and the tight end's able to sneak behind the linebackers. Linebackers now, their eyes in that backfield, respecting the potential of that run game. When you bring the blitz and you don't get home, that's what I'm talking about with Bachmeier. He's got eyes, makes quick decisions. That time, the tight end opened up right behind the backers, and he got it out quick, which is exactly what he needs to do.
Play action here, blitz off the edge. Bachmeier somehow stays on his feet, hoists one into coverage, and it's an easy interception for Myles Bryant. He gets a block out on the edge. Bryant with a return to midfield.
You know, that time Bachmeier's showing you some of his youth. You know, he hasn't done much of this at all this year. Shakes off the potential sack, and then as he gathers himself, he doesn't have anybody open. They've got two receivers downfield. Once you get off of this, just throw it away. Instead, he just throws it up, of all places, down the middle of the field, and the safety's sitting there waiting for the interception.
Here in Las Vegas, Bob Wischusen and Kirk Herbstreit. Molly McGrath down on the field. A freshman mistake made a moment ago, and Chris Petersen's defense gets a takeaway.
Yeah, we showed you the graphic early, 7 starts, but he hadn't played in about 5 or 6 weeks, and trying to knock some of the rust off. Throws an interception early. Now it's Jacob Eason's chance to transfer out of Georgia, who's had an up-and-down year this year for the Huskies.
With great field position near midfield. Starts it on the ground with Cameron Davis, and he starts behind the line. Chase Hatada brings him down.
You know, Eason, 6'6", 227, from Washington. Of course, went to Georgia. Started 13 games as a freshman. Got beat out by Jake Fromm his second year, so decided to come back home to Washington, and has enjoyed being back home, and has had, like I said, a nice start. He probably would like to see it a little bit better, but he needs some help, too, with the offensive line and some of the skill guys helping him out, making potentially be a better player.
Boise shows blitz on 2nd down and long. They'll rush 4. Eason, quick hitter over the middle. That's Sean McGrew out of the backfield. And he's about 4 yards shy of a first down, so it brings up 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, they're going against a very aggressive, undersized Boise State defense compared to what they're used to seeing in the Pac-12. You know, controlling the line of scrimmage will be an interesting challenge for them. They've reshuffled their offensive line. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And most notably, Hilbers, the right tackle, is now playing left tackle, with Trey Adams deciding to sit this bowl game out.
Richard Newton breaking tackles. It looks like he's about a half yard shy of the first down. So an early decision in plus territory for Chris Petersen. You going for it?
Usually, I mean, all year they've been going for it. They have struggled this year on 3rd down. One of the worst that we've seen Washington with Chris Petersen in a number of years. 110th in the nation this year on 3rd down. But typically they end up going for it on 4th down.
Richard Newton, the lone setback on 4th down and about a half yard. Quarterback sneak for Eason. Pushes the pile. It depends on the spot. And this is going to be very close. Both officials running right down the line to gain.
They're right there. You got to think at 6'6", he's got a chance to get that half yard, right? Bryan Harsin looks pretty confident.
It's the most inexact science of football, right? There's a pile of 300-pound dudes, and somebody runs in and just sticks the ball on the ground like they know exactly where it ought to be. And without measurement, they say first down.
Yeah.
And now they're going to go to replay to see if they put an accurate spot on it.
Chris Petersen said, I kind of liked how you guys moved quick there. I mean, let's keep this thing going.
After review, the ruling on the field of a first down is confirmed.
Oh, that was quick.
That was a world record.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Yeah, you could see I mean, it's a pile of humans there, but you could see that initial surge looked like he got it.
And even if you weren't sure, you can't see the football.
Right, but I like they confirmed. And quickly. That might have been a new record for 2019 if we go out here in the bowl season.
Salvon Ahmed splits out wide to the left.
Ball's coming out fast here.
Empty backfield. Ahmed back shoulder right off his chest plate and out of bounds.
Yeah, Eason is not a threat at all to run. He hasn't shown that. He's an athletic guy, but has not shown that ability this year. So when you see him go empty set and Ahmed moves out there as a receiver, and you're a defensive back, you know it's quick game. Ball is coming out fast. It's either a quick hitch or potentially trying to go by you, but the ball has to come out in less than 2 seconds.
Slant, and it's caught. Andre Bocelli That looks to be good for a first down. Tripped up by Avery Williams.
Good to see. We talked about one of the keys is Eason getting into a rhythm. And right now he is in sync against softer coverage from Boise State. Boise State respecting the speed of these receivers. Fuller on one side, Bocelli on the other. And they're playing a little softer. And because of that, a lot of these throws underneath. And you're seeing Eason throw in rhythm and accurately.
And off to Ahmed, into a pile, and it looks like he lost a yard. David Moa brought him down, and we'll certainly be keeping our eyes on big number 99, Curtis Weaver. If that ball comes out quick, it neutralizes his ability to rush the passer.
Yeah, that was a great example of the matchup tonight to me, is watching this right here. The quickness, using the hands. Washington has the advantage with 300-pounders. And Boise State's undersized, but boy, they play hard and they play quick and they move a lot using those hands. That was a great example of what they're trying to do.
Eason off play action. Long throw outside the numbers. What a catch is made by Cade Otton with one hand to pull it in. He picks up 7.
Yeah, we were just talking about him at the break with Hunter Bryant down, that Otton is more than capable of making plays. Watch quarterback, by the way, get hit hard after he threw that football. Outstanding hands by Cade Otton. The big right hand goes up to slow that ball down, and he's able to come up with it. Give him a chance here on 3rd down. Eason took a shot that time from Moa.
9th play of the drive, 3rd down and 4. Richard Newton grinding out a first down for Washington.
What a great mix we're seeing here in this first drive for Washington. You know, we've seen some quick throws. We've seen some runs up the middle. It's a split zone. Nice job by that right side of the offensive line, and good, hard, tough running to be able to pick up that first down. They've run 9 plays, 5 runs, and 4 passes. And the passes, again, they're respecting that pass rush. Ball is out fast.
Ahmed bouncing off tacklers and gets in the red zone. Riley Whitby brings him down after a gain of about 3. And speaking of all the different personnel packages, we've already seen 5 running backs on the field at some point for Washington on this opening drive.
And you're doing a good job of staying up with them. Because you get with some of these bowl games, you're trying to get together the too deep, and sometimes things change, whether it's players sitting out or give a young player a chance to play. And they're rotating, trying to stay fresh against this Boise defense.
Wide receiver screen to Chico McClatcher. Gets close to the 17, maybe the 16-yard line before Benton Wickersham brings him down. So it's another 3rd down on this first drive for the Huskies.
Yeah, again, staying with that theme of inside run with quick throws to the edge. Boise State now in the red zone, noticing the coverage is much tighter than it was in the middle of the field. Therefore, there's not a lot of yards after the catch right now for the receivers. They're going to have to either use crossers or try to get behind them by using kind of a rub route against this tight coverage.
Broncos show blitz, they'll rush 4. Eason, slant. Breaking tackles is Bocelli, and he walks into the end zone with a touchdown.
What a drive to start this Las Vegas Bowl by Washington. That is outstanding. 12 plays. They mixed it up. Very, very balanced. Boise State's got to be kicking themselves there. The middle linebacker, Wickersham, had a chance to make a play on the receiver after he made the catch, and just kind of pulled back, let up on him for some reason.
Touchdown drive for Washington, and Eason was 5 of 6, 43 yards, and the score.
Yeah, it starts with the interception. The freshman Bachmeier just throws it up, and Bryant's there to capitalize on that. Gets the ball to Eason, and right there finishes off that 12-play drive with a touchdown.
The Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl on ABC is brought to you by the carefully curated lineup of crossovers from Mitsubishi Motors. In part by Las Vegas. The NFL Draft comes to Las Vegas in April 2020. And Capital One, what's in your wallet?
As if downtown Las Vegas isn't crazy already. The marching bands, the cheerleaders, the mascots for both Boise State and Washington held a big pep rally downtown last night. And Jacob Eason looked sharp, Kirk, on that opening drive, a 7-0 lead for the Huskies.
Yeah, really in command there in the opening drive, 5 of 6, 43 yards. And we talked about during that opening drive, just getting the ball out, very decisive, making quick decisions.
Hightower from the 1. Out to about the 19-yard line, and missed tackles the story on that touchdown as well.
Yeah, it's every coach's nightmare when you get into a bowl game. You look at the middle linebacker, Wickersham, right there. I mean, you want to leverage the football, right? They're right there. They have 3 guys, and they just pull back, and he's got the speed to make them pay for that. He catches the ball just maybe a yard short of the first down, but nobody hits him. Nobody's able to dislodge the ball or even wrap him up, and he's able to take advantage of that and go into the end zone.
Quarterback change already for Boise State as Jalen Henderson is getting a chance to play with Holani in the pistol. Little zone read. Henderson on a keeper. Thrown down behind the line. Well read by Elijah Molden. Loss of 2.
Worth mentioning again, if people just tuning in, what Henderson did, he'll come in and out throughout this game. But, you know, he sat there at 3rd string and stayed prepared all year long, just in case his number got called as a senior, getting beat out by a true freshman. And eventually with the injuries, he ends up being the catalyst to lead them to a conference championship. And just really a great story and a great attitude by Jalen Henderson.
He had 13 career pass attempts before this year. Yeah. And goes out and wins the last 4 games and is the offensive MVP of the championship game.
Pretty cool.
Although he's got his team behind the chains here, so it's back to Bachmeier. Here comes the blitz. He doesn't see it. Somehow is able to squeeze one out to Matt Pistone, and he's not going anywhere. Hard-hitting start with Keith Taylor coming off the edge on a corner blitz.
Yeah, Bob, they're bringing blitzes. They've been bringing Bryant. This time it's Taylor. They're kind of hiding them, and I don't think Bachmeier feels this at all. In fact, not only Bachmeier, but the backs, too. Nobody picks him up. You see a late movement there by Van Buren. Boise State fortunate just to get that ball out, even though they didn't pick up many yards. Right now, the young freshman has not played since week 7. He's got to get his eyes on that secondary because they're coming after him.
This time a 4-man rush. Off his back foot, Bachmeier hoists one to the sideline over the head of Octavius Evans, so it's a 3-and-out for the Broncos.
Bob, I know you do work on Sundays in the NFL. Watch this rush by Joe Tryon over the right tackle. What a push here. Just pushes his way into the backfield. Sometimes you use twitch and speed. Other times you just push a tackle right back into the quarterback's face. That was impressive by 9. He's 6'5", 262 pounds.
Second team all Pac-12 was Joe Tryon. Aaron Fuller back to return the kick that takes a slight Boise hop, and his touchdown at the Washington 46. Great field position for Jacob Eason of the Huskies when we come back.
My favorite thing. This is interesting. It's like a combination between a funeral and a wedding, but it's more of a wedding. And I felt very strongly that this is the right time for me personally to make a change. But if I could script it this way, where one of our guys and, Jimmy to take over, it couldn't be better. Because I have no doubt that this program is going to continue to grow. It's going to take the next step, and we'll be back to winning Pac-12 championships.
Well, when Chris Petersen passed the torch to Jimmy Lake on December 2nd after only 6 years at 55 years old on the sideline for Washington, it certainly sent shockwaves through college football. And speaking of shockwaves, on that slant, Terrell Bynum took a headshot, so a flag comes out. We'll have to check the marker.
Looked like Nawahine, the big hitting safety, came up, and we'll have to take a peek to see if he got up as a defenseless player, maybe up above the shoulder. He's a good
Personal foul. Targeting.
Yeah.
Defense number 10. The play is under review.
All right, so Nawahine may be lost for the rest of the night for Boise State. Let's take another look.
Yeah, one of the great leaders. Remember, they threw a lot of those quick slants, a lot of quick throws on that first drive, and this is their response to that. They cheated him down. He's trying to dislodge that football, and let's see, as a defenseless player, it's not just helmet to helmet. It's contact, forcible contact to the head, whether you're using your shoulder pad or a forearm or whatever you're using. Look, I think they're gonna end up taking him off the field.
I think you're right. The goal is to get a player to change his strike zone and to not be up near the head. And it wasn't as if Bynum ducked way down low and gave him no choice as to where he was going to hit him. Let's get another look here.
Remember, again, Washington hit a lot of those passes on that opening drive, and when they went over the sidelines and they made their adjustments, they said, hey, they're doing quick throws. We got to cheat you up, and when they go to that slant, I want you up there hitting the receiver. But obviously they didn't want this.
That's a senior safety, Ekoa Nawahine, second team All-Mountain West. He's a team captain. You lose him, you lose a lot of leadership in that secondary. So this is a big call.
After review, there is no foul for targeting.
That's good for Nawahine. He stays in the game.
Yeah. When they review those, because we looked at it and thought, yeah, I mean, defenseless player, forcible collision there, right near the above the shoulder pad area. It's such a fine line, frame by frame, of what they're looking at. But they saw enough that they felt to take it off the board.
Well, that launch, that indicator, and the change this year as well is replay has to confirm targeting. They have to see all the indicators to leave the call in. Eason scrambling forward, and it's going to be third down again for Washington.
They anticipated the pass, did a good job with the pass rush. They can get after the quarterback off the edge. Curtis Weaver, one of the top pass rushers you'll see not only in the Mountain West but in the country. Look what he's done, 34 career sacks in his career. That's just in 3 years.
Eason into traffic. It's deflected and should have been picked off. So Boise State does get the stop as Benton Wickersham on the carom just about had a takeaway.
Yeah, much better coverage and anticipation here right at the first down marker. Watch them jump these underneath routes. See how quick they're reacting? Washington made them pay for that, but this time Walker, the corner, who's a new starter this year, has had a good year, has good length, but his eyes were up on the quarterback, allowing him to react to that quick throw and get there to knock that ball away.
Race Porter with the rugby style kick. There's a line drive angled down into the corner. Can't do it any better. At the 4-yard line, it's down by Kyler Gordon on the hop. 46-yard bunt. Wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but it got the job done.
No, but it had that backspin. Now that is perfect.
So it's Herb Street gap wedge inside the 5-yard line.
I'm all over that. But boy, it puts this Boise offense that's slow to find its rhythm, pins them back inside that 5-yard line. Let's see what Boise's answer is to the line of scrimmage, where Washington has the physicality and the size. We saw the last play, Joe Tryon just pushing the right tackle, Ujuku. See what they do here to get out of their own shadow of their own end zone.
Well, they'll run it with Holani. And the pile moves out across the 5-yard line. Levi Onzarike first there for Washington. And he comes away with the football, claiming that he may have gotten a takeaway, but they'll put it down after a gain of a couple. Second down and 7. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Bachmeier from the end zone, wide open over the middle. That's Garrett Collingham, the tight end. And he is very close to a first down. Looks like he's got it. Molly?
Bob, Broncos senior wide receiver Achillian Butler came onto the sideline out of his uniform with the wrap on his left leg. He had tears streaming down his face as he hugged every single teammate one by one. Now Boise State doesn't give injury information, but he is out of uniform, Bob.
That's an injury that he suffered on the opening possession. Rifle shot nearly picked off. Khalil Shakir, the intended receiver, and Keith Taylor almost picked off Bachmeier.
Taylor has great length for a corner. He's 6'3", 109. Oh, yeah. Boy, people talk about bowl games, whether they matter or they don't matter. How about a senior letting his emotion show the fact he can't play with his brothers, can't go out one last time and do it. He's from Dallas.
Lost his mom to breast cancer in April, lost his dad to a sudden heart attack back in 2017, and now he loses a chance to play in the bowl game as a fifth-year senior. Hightower climbs the ladder and pulls it in out to the 25-yard line for a first down. Oh, you really feel for a kid right now, and you can see that his teammates are rallying around him as best they can as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been through so much, and then to have one last chance to go out and play with his teammates, his family. This is a big part of his family now, and it's taken away from him. Great throw there on that last throw by Bachmeier to get that up and over the linebacker, dropped in coverage.
Holani met right at the line of scrimmage. Forward progress for a yard, but Tupuola Fatui was right face mask to face mask with George Holani. It's second down and 9.
Well, he just got right off of Bates, the tight end's block. Just perfect technique that time, and Bates had his hands full. Just again overwhelmed with the size and athletic ability and the strength of Washington at the line of scrimmage.
And it looks like Boise's going to let the clock wind all the way down and end the first quarter, maybe shorten the game a bit, but already impressive to move from their own 4-yard line, pick up a couple of first downs. It'll be second down and 9 when we start the second quarter. So after the first quarter, 7-0 Washington. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Teammates continue to console Achillian Butler over on the Boise State sideline, the fifth-year senior that lost both of his parents and now loses the bowl game, Herbie.
Yeah, here he is right here and just trying to make a block, and you can see he gets rolled up there as Hightower's trying to make an effort.
And you might remember his twin brother Josh plays at Michigan State. He came out on senior day with his 2 adopted dogs.
Yeah.
Because there was no one else to bring him out on senior day.
I remember that.
Here's a check down to Holani to start off the second quarter. And he has just barely enough yards, it looks like, to come within a yard of the first down. It'll be third down and 1.
Yeah, I like how they rolled him out, got him out on the edge. Remember that the line of scrimmage early in the game right now, it's favoring Washington's defensive line in their front. And so an answer for Bryan Harsin and his offense is you have a quarterback that's athletic enough. Once in a while, just make that defense have to respect the edge. Get him away from some of that pressure. They've been blitzing safeties. We've seen a number of the corner blitz. We saw the safety come 3 or 4 times. So get him away from that.
Jet sweep. Hightower has the first down and more. So a drive that began at the 4-yard line for Boise State. Now 3 first downs, a gain of 5 for Hightower, a third down conversion, and they're out to their own 39.
Again, work the edge, third and short. Get away from the physicality in between the tackles right now. Work to get the ball to the outside and allow your athletes try to make some plays out in space. I think at some point you're going to have to take a shot because Washington right now really not respecting the vertical pass game. They're loading up the line of scrimmage, and you're going to have to stretch this defense at some point as Henderson's back.
Jalen Henderson, little zone read. Khalil Shakir, nowhere to go, gets bottled up. dodges a tackler but loses 2.
Well, really nice job by Ryan Bowman getting upfield to make a play on this. He doesn't necessarily make the play, but he forces him to go wide, and Shakir has nowhere to go. Because of Bowman's effort there, it allows the rest of that secondary to get off of those receivers blocking and then chase him down for a loss. Good effort there by 55.
Jalen Henderson's been in for 2 plays, both negative plays, and now Bachmeier goes back in, 2nd down and 12, and here comes the blitz.
There it is.
He's going to loft one down the sideline for Octavius Evans. Incomplete.
Good coverage. Really good coverage by Keith Taylor. Remember we talked earlier about how he has good length for a corner at 6'3". You don't see very many corners at 6'3". Watch him locate the ball and then get his hand up and knock that ball away. Really good coverage against a receiver that has the ability to get downfield and make a play. And the ball was thrown pretty well. It was just great coverage again by 27 Taylor. But I like the call, by the way, trying to, again, stretch that defense.
Huskies bring a 3rd down blitz. Bachmeier slings one to the sideline, incomplete. He was hit again. Drilled by Ulufashio on the blitz and threw off his back foot once again.
And that's called affecting the quarterback. You'll hear defensive coordinators all over college football talk about it's not always about blitzes. It's about being able to bring pressure here, and then they bring Bryant late, and Boise State just can't account for him. So Bachmeier senses that. He feels that, and therefore he has to throw the ball before he's ready with good coverage downfield. Lethal combination there for Jimmy Lake and that defense.
Spiraling kick, Aaron Fuller makes the first man miss. Now gets bottled up and gets out to about his own 26-yard line. Still a pretty good job of flipping field position for Boise State, considering they started at their own 4.
What's up, everybody? I hope you're enjoying the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. I wanted to remind you, coming up on January 18th, Conor McGregor is back, and he's fighting Cowboy Cerrone in the main event of UFC 246 right here in Las Vegas on ESPN Plus pay-per-view.
White yesterday talked about this fight. Herbie, I think there might be some mild interest. Conor McGregor returning to the octagon. Eason flips one out on the edge, and Aaron Fuller making players miss. And he picks up about 9.
In January, and we got a busy bowl season coming up, and national championship was the 13th. Let me just have to circle back. I've never been to a fight.
That'd be a good one to go to.
That'd be a good one to try out.
That should be a night you make your debut.
Yeah.
Play action. Eason under some pressure and throws it away, so it will be 3rd down and 2.
And max protect there. Nobody open. 2 receivers downfield. Good coverage by Boise State. And everybody's sitting back deep. Nowhere for Eason to go. He does a smart thing just to get rid of it.
By far the worst field position to begin a drive for Washington. They started twice near midfield and got 1 touchdown out of it. Now Boise State with a chance to get a stop and maybe take back field position themselves. Wildcat snap, and it is good for a 1st down as Richard Newton moves the chains.
Nice live legs. Remember, they're rotating a lot of different backs. Bob, you referred to that earlier. Ahmed is really their primary back, but with a direct snap there, Newton showing you that picks up just enough blocks there, but 3rd and short, everybody expecting him to keep it, still able to pick up the 1st down.
Eason double clutches and still is able to fire a strike for a 1st down. That has to be pleasing to the head coach. Gain of 11. And what were your reactions when you first heard Chris Petersen make the announcement that he's going to be stepping aside?
I was shocked. I think like everybody else, he's one of the guys that's easy to pull for. You love Chris Petersen. When he was at Boise State, what he's done at Washington, winning 2 Pac-12 championships in 6 years, got into a playoff, one of the few teams in the Pac-12 to get into the playoff. I just love the way he operates. I love what he stands for. I love the way he coaches. So I was devastated as just a fan of the sport. And at the same time, after talking to him yesterday, I think it was the right move.
Richard Newton brought down behind the line. You know, anything about his explanation as to just kind of being burned out at this point that would worry you, a guy in his mid-50s, about what our game might do to a coach like Chris Petersen?
Makes me sad. Makes me sad that the stress of the job took a toll on him to the point where he was at the Rose Bowl last year. As a Pac-12 team, you go to Pasadena, granddaddy of them all, you're supposed to kind of remember that as a positive moment. And he didn't. He said he's just being honest with himself, and he just said that just kind of burn out, needs to maybe recharge his battery. Hopefully he's not done coaching.
Bocelli, about 5 yards shy of the first down.
But when the fun and the love goes away and it becomes more about the grind, you know, he would talk about when he would win a game, it was more about relief. Winning a game was relief. Think about Dabo Swinney when he wins a game. They're dancing. Right. They're going crazy. For Chris Petersen, it was relief, and it was anguish when he would lose a game.
Big third down here. Jacob Eason with a slant, scooped up by Aaron Fuller, and that is good for another Washington first down.
Nice soft coverage there over the slot. Made it pretty easy. You saw Eason even look over to get confirmation from the offensive staff and decided to still go with that. On third down, they pick up another first down. That's been an area that's been a problem for them. They're 4-6 tonight so far on third down.
I'll hand one here to Sean McGrew. And he slips through the line and picks up a couple. Again, Bob Wischusen here with Kirk Herbstreit and Molly McGrath at the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. We've seen some other coaches, like a Bob Stoops or an Urban Meyer, in their mid-50s, step away. Is it just how those guys are wired? Or for someone that cares so much about the game like you do you worry that the way we cover it and all the social media, it just weighs on guys in today's game in a way it shouldn't?
Well, I think they're all different. You know, Urban Meyer and Bob, and really Urban Meyer was a health situation. Bob Stoops, you know, I think at some point he looked at his own health and had the fear of his father, who passed away of a heart attack right around the same age. And I think he felt comfortable with what he had accomplished. He's going back to coach, by the way, in the XFL. I just think that with Chris Petersen, it's different. He mentioned he felt like this at Boise. And he thought, you know what, I'm going to take the Washington job. Maybe a change of scenery will be good for me. And he said, it's the exact same feeling. So at least he can admit it. At least he can see it. And I think he just needs to step away and just see what happens. I don't think he can predict what's going to happen. He's not saying he's never going to coach. He's not saying he is going to coach. I think he just needs to recharge.
Third down and 8, and they'll toss one to Richard Newton. And he's into the secondary with a first down. The second time Richard Newton has bulldogged his way for a first down on a third down conversion on this drive.
They motion Cotton. See him come in there late, 87. And what that does is it gives them an extra half. Boise State outnumbered into the boundary. So you think 3rd and 8, what in the heck are they doing running into the boundary? But they move that tight end over, gives them an extra blocker, and therefore he's able to find enough room to pick up the first down.
End around flip. It's Fuller. Check that. It's McClatcher. And he's down inside the 15, inside the 10. First and goal at the 8 as Chico McClatcher picks up 18.
You know, for an offense that has lacked continuity and consistency in the 2019 season, they are looking great in their preparation for this bowl game. A really good mix of formations, attacking the outside here with the almost like a receiver counter where they're pulling the right side, the right guard, and the right tackle. Just one step ahead of Boise State as Boise State tries to respond to how Washington is attacking them.
Eason, incomplete. In and out of the hands of Terrell Bynum. So the 13th play of this drive will be 2nd down and goal from the 8.
You know, Bob, you look at Washington's year at 7-5, you think, down year for the Huskies out in the Pac-12. Yet 4 of their 5 losses by 6 points or less. And they lost to Stanford by 10, who was just a down year. It's just a very, very, you're talking about a possession here or a possession there. And most of the games that they played, and they just could not quite close the door. And that's why they're sitting there at 7-5. But they gave Utah everything they could handle. Oregon everything they could handle.
Ahmed tries to turn the corner. Great balance, looking for the pylon, and he's got it for a Huskies touchdown.
Yeah, I love this formation where they use condensed formation. They bring Bynum in, and then you're going to get the tight end Cotton to kind of lead the way. This is the furthest defender to the edge, and he picks up. Cotton does a good job of getting just enough of him, and with how explosive you can get to the edge with Ahmed. Boise State just out of position because of the formation that Washington uses there. Twice late in that drive, the formations opened up the plays for the touchdowns, and this is another great example. Washington, if you're a Washington fan watching this, you're probably thinking, where's this been all year? This looks great.
The Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl on ABC is brought to you by Las Vegas. The NFL Draft comes to Las Vegas in April 2020.
Well, we mentioned we had a little tour of the UFC headquarters here in Las Vegas. You got a chance to take a shot at the octagon, and I mean, Ali, this is impressive.
Yeah, she's a gamer. Yeah, she's trying to get up there. She was determined to give it a shot.
She drills her own cameraman with the heavy bag.
Yeah. There's Benny Hogg, our producer. Steve Ackles back there.
Benny and Steve are listening in right now. Did we not save the footage for when I went up the rope and rang the bell at the top?
I'm just upset I wasn't wearing appropriate clothing to really show off my talents.
Well, you could tell you're an athlete.
Hightower showing off a good return here. Loses his helmet, and he's out to the 34-yard line. I'm just very disappointed that my trip up the rope got left.
I was impressed.
Floor.
I didn't know you had that in you.
I could see that look on your face.
I was shocked.
Yeah. Molly, how about the defense and what we need to see?
Well, Jimmy Lake just told his defense, keep the pressure up. Their quarterback is panicking and taking bad shots, and he's harping aggression and physicality. And Lake told me before the game he has never wanted to win the game this bad because he wants to send Chris Petersen off with the win, and he told me he wants to see him carried off the field after this one.
Wow, that's cool. Molly, you could tell right now this defense is playing aggressive and playing with confidence. You can see there's the blitz again, once again from Bryant coming here.
Alani, blockers out in front, squeezes out about 1.5 yards as we take a look at tonight's holiday highlights, brought to you by Macy's. And Herbie, some pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, it's been a mix. This is bringing pressure from the true freshman McDuffie, catching the other true freshman, the quarterback on the other side, Bachmeier, by surprise, and he makes a mistake just throwing it up. Here's Taylor, who's had a great night, 27. The other corner on the other side, again, surprising Boise, not anticipating, disguising it to the last second, which is so important. But Bachmeier's had his hands full trying to find time, and that's why I think you're going to see him move out away from that pressure more and more.
Crossing route to Stefan Cobbs, and he is about 3 yards shy of the first down, picks up 6. So 3rd down and 3.
Jimmy Lake, it's great to hear he's going to get his opportunity. We've talked here during this broadcast, the defensive coordinator for the Huskies, and I think the continuity. Anytime you're going to lose a great coach and you're able to hire somebody from within your staff, it allows you to keep the same strength coach, the same, most of the nucleus is still there. And I think it allows you to get into the 2020 season and hit the ground running. In fact, they didn't lose any of the recruits in the early signing period, which it says a lot about what these recruits think about Jimmy Lake taking over, becoming the head man.
4-man rush. Still some pressure on Bachmeier. Forces the errant throw. Jimmy Lake said, I want to be as aggressive in all three phases of the game as my defense is.
Well, he is. That time he didn't even necessarily have to blitz, and they're still able to get pressure. Bronson that time was able to get home on just a twist, and they played zone. They've been showing a lot of man, and that time Jimmy Lake throwing a curveball, sitting back, playing more zone on 3rd and short, and it really affected Bachmeier. He's wanted to throw the ball, but just could not get on the same page there with Mahone coming out of the backfield.
So Velasquez will punt. Aaron Fuller deep to receive for Washington. Fuller inside the 20. Thrown down. Nice play by Daniel Cantrell on special teams. 14-0 Washington here in Las Vegas. You know you're in Las Vegas when this is happening at the bowl game in the end zone.
Yeah, you're right. Every break, you get that, then you get that one in the spirit there.
Let's take a look at our Mitsubishi Motors drive recap, and Washington has controlled the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they're able to continue to pick up first downs on 3rd down. They're 5 of 7, which is remarkable. Great example there of using the formations, using the tight end Cotton, 87. Watch him here, another good job there of using a formation and having all that room to the field. Use the speed of Ahmed to be able to outrun the Broncos defense.
And a flip one here to Ahmed.
I would call this a early in the game pivotal drive for Boise State. You know, as this hole gets deeper, they don't have an offense equipped with the way they're playing against the talent of Washington to come back from a 21-point deficit. Great coach, Bryan Harsin, one of my favorites in the country, but he's got his hands full tonight against a very motivated Washington team, and last thing they want to do is go down 21.
Salvon Ahmed shaken up on that last carry. By the way, you saw that one snap that Boise State has had in plus territory. The only snap they've had was the pick thrown by Bachmeier. So that's it. They've been across the 50-yard line for one play, and it was a turnover. Washington also won the toss and deferred. So they're going to end potentially the first half with the football. They're going to start the second half with the football. So
even more
I think you're right. I think it makes this drive defensively for the Broncos even more important. Just to try and get the ball back and see if he can maybe just kick a field goal before halftime.
Exactly.
That's something going your way. And Ahmed slow to come off the field. So that's the lead back for Washington, although they've gone 5 deep at tailback already here in the first half. Play action for Eason. Wants to set up the screen and does to Kane Otten, but he lost some yardage. So a chance for Boise State to get off the field on defense. Scale Igehan was there to make the tackle on the tight end screen. Now it's 3rd down and long.
A good job of feeling that, kind of sensing that. The tight ends in this offense are a big part, traditionally a big part over the years for the Huskies offense, but especially this year. Hunter Bryant, we talked about, is not playing, decided to sit this game out, get ready for the NFL. Kate Otten steps up in even a bigger role tonight. See if Boise State brings pressure or sits in coverage on 3rd and long. So they're showing some pressure, edge pressure out here, and also linebacker. Well, just disguising.
And Eason floating and bombing one down the sideline. Incomplete. Flag out late. Avery Williams underneath in coverage. But Shelley, the intended receiver.
Well, go against the offense. I mean, pretty good coverage. And the big thing for Williams is he gets his head turned around. And watch the Washington, it looks like a defender. The receiver kind of wraps up around him. It can almost go either way there. I think this one may be on the offense. Now they're calling it on the defense. Wow, that's a shocker.
Pass interference. Defense on 26. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. On
You know, the key, Bob, when I always talk to these officials about what are you looking for, because it's such a judgment call. You know, all of them talk about the head of the defender. If he gets his head turned around, he has just his same rights to be able to get to that football and have some arm fighting back and forth. I thought Michelli went over the top of Avery Williams there. Very surprised by that call.
I think the folks in blue and orange on the opposite side of the stadium from us agree. That looked like pretty good coverage by Avery Williams. Sean McGrew. Brought down after a gain of a couple.
Those Boise State coaches right now are fired up talking to the officials. They're heated about that last call. Not only, obviously it was a third down play. I mean, you get the ball back, you get a stop. And now you give Jacob Eason, who's had a good night, you give him a new set of downs and still, working his clock down at the end of this first half.
It doesn't go down in the box score as a turnover, but it almost has that effect. And off to Kamari Pleasant this time. And he's dragging tacklers for a Washington first down. The bowl season continues Monday afternoon with the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. The Gabriels lead UCF. That's Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, wide receiver Gabriel Davis against a stout Marshall defense. Monday, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I want to mention that with Trey Adams deciding to sit this game out, Hilbers moves over from right tackle to left tackle. Their starting right guard, Jackson Kirkland, is not playing. And this Washington offensive line has really asserted themselves here in this first half, playing very well.
Decent off play action. Here comes the rush. Sidearms one, incomplete. He knows he missed a wide open Marcus Spiker.
I thought it was interesting how he was moving to his left. He felt a little bit of pressure coming from his right, but that momentum, watch him move, his momentum actually takes the ball to the left. I think because of the way he was moving, Weaver was pressuring him from his right. And I understand that that's great awareness, pocket awareness to feel that. But I think he used so much momentum that it affected the accuracy of that throw.
Newton buried behind the line. And now another third down has been forced by Boise State as Chase Hatada was all over Richard Newton. And now Newton is slow to get up. So Salvon Ahmed on the sideline getting looked at, and now Newton might be next as he gets up with a limp. Washington with a 14-0 lead, but they may be down a couple of running backs.
Kevin Nagati here. This studio update brought to you by Great Clips. FCS semifinals on ESPNU. Final play of the first half. 2 versus 3 matchup. JMU's Ben DiNucci to Riley Stapleton. Hold on. The 2 seed up 27-7 over Weber State. The winner will play North Dakota State in the FCS final. Highlights of that matchup coming your way at the half with JV and Mark. Back to Bob, Herbie, and Molly.
And Kevin, we're back with a big third down, 3rd and 12 for Washington as Boise State's trying to get the ball back before halftime.
Weaver out here to the outside, to the left, the blind side of Jacob Eason. 13.5 sacks, 34 in his career.
And with the clock winding down, Washington will call a timeout, so we'll step aside quickly and come right back to Las Vegas.
Back here in Las Vegas, where Washington's running backs are banged up. Salvon Ahmed still in the medical tent, getting his lower body worked on. Richard Newton came out. He ran back and forth, but he does look like he is in visible pain, Bob.
Well, they've got Sean McGrew, Molly, on the field now, the redshirt junior. He's the 3rd option. Still a good one, though, as he was the 2015 Gatorade California Player of the Year. Ran for 76 touchdowns in high school. He'll empty the backfield here. 3rd down and 12. Wide receiver hitch to Aaron Fuller. He's bottled up, well short of the first down. So Washington will kick it back to Boise State. And let's see if the Broncos use a timeout here with 1:32 to go.
You would think, yeah, they have to.
Yeah, they must.
go back to that pass interference. Basically cost them a minute and a half. Desperate time for them. They need points. You know, down 14. Huskies get the ball to start the second half. Their defense comes up with a stop to at least not give up points here to end this first half. But I'm sure for an offense that struggled mightily in this first half, they need all the time they can get. They'll have to work with a minute and a half.
And we talked about the fact that for Chris Petersen, this is a tough one. Obviously, it's your last game with your team, but the opponent makes it difficult as well because there's his protege, Bryan Harsin. We had Bryan Harsin mic'd up pregame, and the two coaches met. Let's listen in on what they had to say.
No, we're good. Appreciate you. Yeah. You're going to be back in Boise. I know. Hey, whenever you do, and I don't care. I know I won't know when, but whenever you do, I'll be there. See ya.
Says, I know. Your stealth bomber style coming into Boise. Can you give me a call? Can we hook up? Can we grab a lunch? Two great guys.
Well, Coach Petersen's now going to have some time on his hands. Shakir pushes that punt hot, and it takes a perfect Huskies roll to the one.
Think about where Boise State has started their drives. I mean, it seems like almost every drive, they've been inside the 20-yard line. Their own 17, their own 19, their own 4.
And now at their own 1.
Yeah.
So 4 out of 5 drives they have started inside their own 20-yard line.
Yeah.
And this is the second time they're going to start inside their own 5.
And you know, so much for thinking about, hey, let's try to get some points. Now you're just thinking about Washington still has 2 timeouts. Now they're just trying to get out of giving the ball back to Washington.
How would you balance your play calling here with that?
You got to be careful. I mean, you might take a chance on 1st and 10, just kind of see how that play goes.
There's a quick out. A nice sidestep. Almost losing the football with Shakir. But he is brought down inbounds, so unless they use their timeout, that's going to keep the clock rolling as he picks up about 6.
Shakir is a guy that Bryan Harsin feels could be a force, not just tonight, but a dominant player. He called him one of the best receivers on the entire West Coast.
Bachmeier rolling in the end zone and dumps one off underneath. It's good for a first down to Halani, so that'll stop the clock for just a moment with 48 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah, they're going to hold on to that one timeout if they're going to get aggressive here. Well,
and now we've got another injured Husky. Adafuan Ulufashio is down. He's slow to get up. So the walk-on linebacker, who is a starter and is trying to offset the loss of Tevis Barlett and Ben Burkervin from last year. Easier said than done. Well, Christmas Eve, we will take you to paradise for the SoFi Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu. Good quarterback matchup. Cole McDonald and Zach Wilson, Hawaii and BYU respectively at 8 Eastern, 3 Hawaiian time on ESPN and the ESPN app. Ulufashio had 2 offers coming out of high school, Northern Arizona and Robert Morris, and ends up coming to Washington, becoming one of their starting linebackers as a walk-on.
And Jimmy Lake telling us yesterday really helped solidify the defense once he started making plays at that linebacker spot.
High throw off Alani's fingertips. So it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Bryan Harsin still in that aggressive mode, still trying to get the ball down the field, trying to hope for a play, another first down, try to get closer to midfield. I'm a little bit surprised just because it hasn't been a great first half that they're with only 1 timeout and 40 seconds that they're still trying to do this, but hate for a turnover to backfire on you.
Pressure off the edge. Hightower out of bounds at the 23-yard line. He's got an 8-yard gain, 35 seconds to go, and they still have the timeout. He's the big play threat. He's the guy that can take the top off the defense if he can get behind the coverage.
Yeah, lead speed, vertical threat, can win one-on-one, but right now Washington just keeping everything in front of them, dropping back, not going to give Boise State the big play. Here comes Bryant again on that blitz.
Robert Mahone picks him up. There's Hightower trying to get past the coverage. And that pass sails incomplete as the true freshman Trent McDuffie was running step for step with John Hightower. And a little woofing going on as Hightower heads back to the Broncos huddle. But it's going to be 4th down.
That's what I talked about. I mean, you get aggressive, but Washington didn't use either one of their timeouts. And now they're going to get the ball, depending on this return, they're going to get the ball possibly around their own 40-yard line, if not better.
Velasquez gets it away. Fuller, fair catch call. Close to the Washington 45-yard line. So with 2 timeouts and 23 seconds on the clock, plenty of time to at least get in field goal range.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with a quarterback that's throwing the ball the way Jacob Eason is, without a doubt, they're going to spread this Boise State defense out, try to find a matchup that they can take advantage of. And the good thing is they don't have to work the sidelines. With those 2 timeouts, the entire field is open for Eason.
Salvon Ahmed still being looked at on the sideline for Washington as he's not been able to get back in the game. He's at least out of the injury tent, but Richard Newton is back on the field, so one of the 2 running backs returns for the Huskies. 3-man rush. Eason way high over the middle, and he's got Spiker down to the 30-yard line. Oh, did he rifle that one? Well, Wahine made the stop.
That starts with the protection. Great job of giving him the time that he needs to be able to evaluate that left side of coverage. And the defense up front gets caught. Their eyes get caught up in the underneath routes, and it gave him a heck of a throwing window to make that throw. You see the arm strength there as he threw that ball 25, 30 yards downfield on a rope.
And that's Chase Hatada down for Boise State. He's been an impact player for the Broncos, so that's not who they're going to want to lose. That's a young man whose dad, Ian, was a Big Sky hurdling champion back in the 90s at Boise. So he grew up going to Boise State games, dreaming of being a Bronco. And here he is playing in a bowl game. He's got a couple of tackles for loss.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can get back on the field. 3 tackles for loss, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it was a non-contact thing where he went down. A little bit of an unusual thing. Good to see him walking off. Jacob Eason is already locked in, communicating to the offensive line, making sure everybody's on the same page. 14 seconds remain.
Eason well protected, finds a check down. That's McGrew. And they'll probably use one of their timeouts here. They'd have to. Down to 8 seconds to go in the half. So we have an opportunity to take a look at what's in store this postseason, brought to you by Macy's, and some good games on that list.
Yeah, some really good games. You know, you can go all the way around the list and find out reasons and excitement for why to watch these games. Michigan and Alabama, you just look at those 2 logos, and you know there's a lot of bragging rights on the line. The Rose Bowl, with the way Oregon finished their season in the Pac-12 championship against Paul Chryst and the Badgers. Interesting with Penn State going up against Memphis. Mike Norvell is no longer the head coach at Memphis. He's down in Tallahassee. So we'll see how that one goes. Penn State, some of their players still trying to figure out what they might be doing with their futures. KJ Hamler, most notably, whether he's going to come back or go on to the NFL.
So 8 seconds to go in the half. Washington still has a timeout. They've got Kamari Pleasant into the left of Eason in the backfield, so a chance maybe to take a shot at the end zone or get a little bit closer for a field goal. And now a timeout will be called defensively by Boise State. So they are now out of timeouts.
Timeout, Boise State. Their second.
14-0. The Huskies have the lead. 8 seconds to go in the half. Bob Wischusen here with Kirk Herbstreit. And having watched Eason here in the first half, is your opinion, now that you're seeing him in person, at least this year, changed of him at all?
He's always had, obviously, when he was a freshman at Georgia, he's had physical traits that are special. He's big. He's got one of the strongest arms you're going to see in the entire country. But to go to that level, it's more about processing and more about decision making. And I think he's got a bright future. Eventually, I think he'll be a great player in the NFL. I just think that it would make some sense if it were me looking at him and evaluating him. It would make some sense to give him another year to be able to polish his game and continue to grow. But who knows? We'll see what he'll eventually make his decision in the next week or two.
Quick hitter to Cade Otton. And now they can use their final timeout, and that draws them a little closer to try and add 3 to their lead.
Cade Otton has played so well tonight, both receiving and also blocking. And smart, when they picked up that first down, I thought they might use the first timeout, but instead, after the injury, they went ahead and snapped quickly, saved both of their timeouts, which gave him a chance to get even a little bit closer, make this field goal attempt that much easier.
Chris Petersen, his defense has been a huge story here in the first half. They have controlled a lot of scrimmage. Boise State has not been shut out in a first half since September of 2014 by Air Force. And they're going to be shut out, barring some type of a block and a run back here, by Washington in the first half of the Las Vegas Bowl.
Jimmy Lake, the defensive coordinator, who will eventually take over as soon as this game is over to become the new head coach of Washington. About as good of a first half as he could have hoped for, the way his defense is playing. What's interesting is these guys, they all know each other. Bryan Harsin, his staff, they obviously know Jimmy Lake and Chris Petersen.
Peyton Henry from 32, tacks on 3 before halftime for the Huskies. And a very impressive first half for Washington. In the finale for Chris Petersen, 17-0. They've got the lead. Boise State has owned the Las Vegas Bowl until tonight. They'd only trailed for 10 minutes and 10 seconds total in their previous 4 wins, and they've trailed for most of tonight's first half. Let's head down to Molly as she is standing by with Coach Petersen.
Coach, what is your defense doing to keep them uncomfortable?
Yeah, we're tackling well for 1, getting a little pressure on the passer for 2, and those are usually decent combinations.
You guys are firing in all phases of the game. What's the difference with your team tonight?
Well, we'd still like to run the ball a little better. I think if we can do that, it's going to help everything else out. But they're playing hard. It's a good team we're playing. 2 halves to go.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Bob.
Molly, it was 2 long touchdown drives, at least in terms of plays for Washington. Their first touchdown drive was a 12-play scoring drive, and it was Andre Bocelli that found the end zone. Salvon Ahmed did the trick as well. Kevin Nagati, Jonathan Doma, Mark Sanchez standing by with our halftime report after these messages. Welcome back to the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Just about set for the start of the second half. It was a dominant performance in the first half by Washington. They have the 17-0 lead over Boise State. Bob Wischusen here with Kirk Herbstreit. Molly McGrath will join us from down on the field in a moment. All right, the obvious question. What button do you push if you're Bryan Harsin to try to get back in the game?
Well, the first thing, they have a track record this year of playing better in second halves, making in-game adjustments at halftime, and gives you confidence that you've been there before and done it. This is a much taller mountain to climb against this Washington team that's been motivated and playing well. Your defense is going to take the field first, and you got a Jacob Eason offense right now that's in rhythm, and you got to get them out of rhythm by attacking more and trying to take away the run game and those quick throws.
Chico McClatcher on the return, gets out across the 20-yard line, and a moment ago Coach Harsin spoke with Mom.
8 come from behind wins this season. What's your message about getting it to 9?
Well, it's 0-0 at halftime, and really just one play at a time. One play mindset, execution, all 11 guys doing their job. It's 17 points. We can score 17 points. We can get right back into it. So we just got to execute better, and we got to take advantage of our opportunities more, and we just didn't do that in the first half. And Washington's a good team, but now it's time for us to go out there and execute.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
step one would be getting a stop to start off the second half if you're Boise State. Easier said than done, as Jacob Eason had a very good first half. 16 of 22, 124 yards, and a touchdown. And he'll go to the air, and he'll go deep to start off the second half, and he'll overthrow everyone. Jordan Chin, the intended receiver.
I think that's a great call. Another Washington player down. It's like maybe Nick Harris, their center, who's such a big part. Remember, they're 2 starters down already with Adams out in Kirkland. Harris is kind of the anchor in the middle there. Watch him in the center, or in the center of the screen, obviously. Boise State brings the blitz. He tries to help out on it. And it's like the blitz there of Wimpy may have affected him. He's actually up and walking off, which is a great sign.
He's been first team All-League back-to-back years, and he's headed to the Senior Bowl as well. So that's Mateo Mele, a redshirt freshman who's going to come in for at least a snap or two. See how fast Nick Harris can get back in the game, if he can make it back on the field at all.
Yeah, let's hope he can. I love that call, though. On 1st and 10, you're thinking about, hey, they got a big lead. They're going to run the ball, those quick throws. And what do they do to set a tone, send a message? They go downfield.
Amari Pleasant on 2nd down and 10.
You know, you're down 17, you get into the second half, and Molly just talked to Bryan Harsin about having comeback wins this year, so they know what it takes. The big thing to me against this offense is they got to sell out against the run, and they got to tighten up coverage and take away, especially in a situation like this where he's hurt them on those quick slants and those underneath routes.
3-man rush on 3rd down, and the pressure gets home on Eason, and he is down. It's Chase Hatada, his 4th tackle for loss and his 1st sack of the night.
You know, we came into this game thinking about Weaver, but it's been Hatada. You'll see the far left here. Eason locks in on his receiver. They kind of disguise, and then look down that left sideline. Stride for stride, in phase, great coverage downfield, and Reed was there, and I think Eason, even though it would have been a low percentage throw, 50-50 ball, he decides to hang on that too long, and Hatada eventually got there.
So Joel Whitford will punt. Avery Williams, very dangerous return man if he gets a chance. He backtracks. A fair catch all the way back to his own 31-yard line. It's a 44-yard punt, and no chance for a return as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Now, the Washington defense has had a great night. We've talked a lot about Eason and the offense, but the defense has really been the story. Boise State not even 100 yards in the first half. They've done a good job of mixing up their looks, getting the ball back to Jacob Eason. 12-play drive, 13-play drive. Been very methodical, very effective, very efficient. Really good job of mixing up their formations and personnel groupings, and the play calling has just really kept Boise, at least in that first half, 1 step behind throughout that first half.
Broncos start with a run to Halani, and his best of the night. A little juice on the sideline for the Broncos. A 14-yard gain for the true freshman.
One of the few times we've seen Cleveland, the left tackle, work and get up to that safety. He's got a linebacker there, that nickelback, the hang player, and to give the back a little bit of room to work with. We didn't see much of that at all from the offensive line in the first half.
Now they empty the backfield, but here comes Halani in motion. They'll run it with him again. And he gets a couple of yards. If they can't establish a run game, are they going to have a chance to move the ball through the air? You see those 2 deep safeties for Washington sitting back in the middle of the field, and they're still stopping the run.
Yeah, that's their bread and butter. I mean, they want to establish a run to set up their play action. And the way Bachmeier's been playing and the way the offensive line has not protected him, they've got to be able to get enough from their running game to set other aspects up of this offense.
Backwards pass to Shakir. That's a live ball. And he's going to lose some yards.
It almost makes you wonder what Bryan Harsin was up to, because it was a lateral. They have the ability to throw the ball. They do that from time to time with Shakir. He started to just peek and look downfield before he actually caught the football. And now it puts Bachmeier in this offensive line into third and long situation.
Washington will blitz again. Bachmeier off his back foot again. Right at the first down line to gain to Shakir. And he's got it. Third down and 11, and he gets 12.
Good job by the freshman Holani picking up the blitz. Sermon came right up the middle, picked him up, gave him just enough time, and Shakir, the effort, bobbles the ball, holds on, and fights for that extra yard for the first down.
The screen is intercepted, picked off by Elijah Molden. And he's out of bounds at the 24-yard line of Boise State.
He had to get this ball thrown over top of Ryan Bowman, who was trying to get to the quarterback, and because he has to go over top of Bowman, the ball sailed on him a little bit. The execution wasn't perfect. See how he had to go over top of 55, allows that ball to sail, and then it's intercepted by Molden, who's had a great year this year, hanging over that slot, playing in between the numbers. Just a great year. Great awareness, eyes up, finds the football, but give Bowman a little bit of credit as well, because Bachmeier had to go over top of him, which created an opportunity for Molden to come up with the interception.
With a 17-0 lead, knocking on the door of the red zone. Eason set to go back to work. That goes right through the hands of Cade Otton. So it'll be second down and 10. But that's the second plus territory snap of the night for Boise State. And they're both picks.
Both interceptions.
That is brutal to digest if you're a Broncos fan. And just when it felt like they had a little bit of momentum, Holani rips off a run, get a big third down conversion,
a little bit of urgency.
And you could see it on their sideline. They have a little juice on their sideline. And what happens next play? You turn it over. And Nick Harris back in to snap it to Eason. He's going to take a shot for that front right pylon. Drops it into Bynum. Out of bounds inside the 5 at the 2.
How about that throw by Jacob Eason? Over that outside shoulder, the fleet-footed Bynum, the sophomore, goes up against Reed, who's a freshman. Pretty good coverage, but you can't defend that. Drops it right in the bucket over that outside shoulder, and Bynum does a good job of staying on his route until the ball's in the air, then he works to the outside late, right where the ball is thrown. You work on that day after day in practice, and it pays off there for Eason. Perfectly thrown football.
6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and Newton the I-back. He takes the handoff. At the goal line, he's in. It's another Washington touchdown.
That's how you take advantage of it coming up with a big turnover. Defense gives you really good field position. 3 plays later, you're in the end zone with a touchdown. And that ball by Jacob Eason sets him up for potentially a knockout punch here early in the third quarter for Chris Petersen.
Henry down the middle with the point after. 24-0. Again, 2+ territory snaps for Boise State. Both interceptions thrown by Bachmeier, and it sets up the touchdown.
Yeah, great awareness, as we talked about with Molden. The throw here to Bynum. Outstanding throw by Jacob Eason, and then the Huskies touchdown as they go up 24.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Can't wait for that doubleheader coming up on Saturday, December 28th. Kirk Herbstreit, of course, will be a part of the college football playoff call for us on ESPN. Bob Wischusen alongside Herbie. Molly McGrath down on the field. And Hightower trying to run one back. Looking for a crease out to the 22-yard line.
Well, this is really where you get tested, right? Mentally, as a football team, where you're playing in the Las Vegas Bowl and you're down 24-0, and There's 10-14 remaining in the third quarter now. If you're Bryan Harsin, you're talking to your team about, guys, 10-14 in the third quarter. Let's put a drive together. Let's get some points on the board. This will test your mindset and your mental toughness when you get down against a team that has been pretty dominant on both sides of the football.
Now they're back to Jalen Henderson at quarterback. He played a couple of snaps in the first half, but Bachmeier, of course, throwing the interception on the last possession. Maybe Henderson gets a chance now to play an extended period of time, and he's 1 for 1. Shakir over the middle.
You know, what you pick up in Henderson is a guy who finished the year. Remember, he was a third stringer all year, and then through injuries, he gets his opportunity in the last 4 games, ends up going 4-0. Can throw the football, but also gives you a little bit wiggle room if things break down or if you get a pass rush.
He's 2 for 2. And they're across midfield. For only the 3rd time tonight, Jalen Henderson finds Cobbs.
I've been so impressed with Jalen Henderson and his approach to the game all year. Not just the 4 games that he started, but clearly did the work when nobody was watching, when he was a 3rd string guy.
The first play of the night that they execute in plus territory without turning it over is Boise State. Looks like they've got a first down.
In fact, that's what his coaches and teammates give him a lot of credit for, was his preparation. And it paid off for him. We'll see if he can help this offense. So far, it looks pretty good on this drive.
Long throw outside the numbers, incomplete over Shakir's head.
Think about that Washington secondary. They lost a lot of production last year. I mean, Myles Bryant was the only guy that came back from that Rose Bowl team. Taylor Rapp left early. Byron Murphy, Jordan Miller was the other corner. JoJo McIntosh was a physical safety. You're talking about 4 starters, and this secondary comes back and has had a very, very solid year. And I love Molden, watching him play over that slot.
Alani tripped up. Lost a yard. Now it's 3rd down and 11 as Onzarike made the stop. A player that you think is underrated on that defensive line for Jimmy Lake.
Yeah, he really is. And talk to some of the Pac-12 coaches about Jimmy Lake's defense and some of the players that stand out. A couple of the coaches quick to point out 95 and just say, hey, that guy's going to be playing in the NFL. He's a force. Guy that's been impressive tonight's been Joe Tryon, 9. He's been just too physical for the Boise State offensive line. He's set up now to the right of Henderson off the edge.
Henderson extending the play. He's going to run and get inside the 40-yard line. All right, you're down 24-0.
You're going.
You got to go for it, I would think, right on 4th and 4.
Yeah, you got to go. Pretty good job of leveraging him. Looks like we got another Washington player down. It's like the 4th or 5th guy from the Huskies to go down.
It's Onzarike.
Yeah.
That's a big player for them to lose before a 4th down attempt by Boise State. So will Boise State go for it? We'll find out as soon as we come back to Las Vegas.
The Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl on ABC is brought to you by Las Vegas. The NFL Draft comes to Las Vegas in April 2020. And Dollar General. Save time, save money every day.
Part of the bowl game experience is the players get a chance to test their esports skills at an esports competition at the Luxor Hotel. And part of our bowl game experience here in Las Vegas is this.
Gotta love that. We'll be back in April for the draft.
4th down. A trick play. Works to perfection. C.T. Thomas hits Evans.
Gutsy call, attracted all the defense. All eyes reacting to that quick throw into the boundary. And a nice job by C.T. Thomas not to float this, because the safety back deep, if he floats that and lets that hang, the safety can come over and make a play on the ball. But he threw it where the ball was low, gave him a chance to protect from the defender. Evans does a good job of protecting it, but a good throw by Thomas.
Flags down.
Illegal substitution. Offense. 12 players breaking the huddle. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
So a mistake by Boise State makes it 1st and 15, but the mentor gets victimized at least on 4th down on the trick play by the protege as Harsin dials it up and Boise State moves the chains.
Gutsy call there, right? Good time to save that. It worked to perfection. 4th down, quick throw. The defense reacted, and just a play call by Bryan Harsin. As you said, he's kind of give Chris Petersen some of his own medicine.
Bootleg off the play action for Henderson. He squeezes one in to Octavius Evans. Short gain inside the 20-yard line down to the 16. Pick up about 6. So it makes it 2nd down at the 16.
Again, because Bryan Harsin's team is facing such a talented defensive group with Jimmy Lake being aggressive, Henderson's mobility gives him enough. Gives him just the ability to get away. That time it was Ryan Bowman chasing him down. He's able to pull away from that. Just give him a chance to get some positive yards.
Washington a little late running players in. First trip to the red zone tonight for Boise State. Great misdirection. Henderson spinning down to the 5-yard line. They faked the end around, and it looked like some of those defensive players for Washington took the bait.
Yeah, it sure did. This looks like the Boise State offense we saw in the last month of the season with Henderson running it. A lot of misdirection, getting the eyes of the defense one way, and then the speed and the quarterback run going in a different direction, following that H-back, following the tight end around. Pistone 47 does a nice job, but you can see how comfortable Henderson is when he gets out on the edge.
Now it's Mahone. Inside the 5, down to about the 4-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Josiah Bronson made the stop. Boise State has been very efficient in the red zone. They've scored 38 touchdowns on the season in 55 trips.
Got Jackson Herman in the game, the middle linebacker, actually out of Nashville, Tennessee. His father, Peter, played at Oregon as a coach in the college game. Good player, 43 in the middle of that defense.
And now they line up in a pistol formation with Henderson lined up as the running back. Garrett Collingham, the tight end, moved to take the snap, and then flags come. False start.
False start. Offensive.
That's the one thing where you get a lot of things going on. You got a tight end. It's like a diamond formation there where you have it looks like a pistol. You've got the tight end flanked by 2 backs. Just a lot of activity going on there, and the entire left side of the offensive line jumps. It seemed to be working more effectively when it was more of kind of an urgent approach, more of a tempo.
Play action for Henderson. Shovel pass. Holani at the 5, at the goal line, and in for a touchdown. Boise State on the board.
I love how they use that bunch formation off to the left bob and then put Shakir back into the backfield. All they're doing is trying to affect the defense's eyes. It even gets down to a 3-point stance. They're thinking, what's he up to? What's he up to? And instead, they just use him as a decoy and then slide the back underneath. Very well-designed play there after the penalty for their first touchdown of the night.
Sachs knocks the point after through. It's 24-7. They didn't go for 2, so it's still a 3-possession game down by 17, but Bryan Harsin's team's on the board.
Yeah, this is a big touchdown for them. And how about Jalen Henderson, man? Takes them down 11 plays, 77 yards, and a touchdown there to get their first touchdown.
national championship Monday, January 13th. Got the college football playoff doubleheader coming your way on December 28th. As Capital One Bowl Mania is just underway. And Jalen Henderson, a difference maker, Herbie, on that drive.
Yeah, great drive. You can see he's got his confidence, and the team's going to respond to a quarterback that can lead them down for their first score like that.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Jacob Eason has done some things tonight that NFL quarterbacks need to be able to do.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's done a good job of keeping his eyes downfield, despite potentially a pass rush like this, able to throw accurately. I think he's felt very confident in his reads, and it's allowed him to throw and anticipate throwing into windows like this near the end of the first half, where they were able to come up with some points. And here, look at the safety off to the middle of the field, open up Bynum down that right sideline, and there's the touch and the accuracy down the right sideline. Perfectly thrown football. Yeah, he's played well against an athletic Boise State defense.
And that Broncos defense now needs to stop after the touchdown. Blitz off the edge. Eason avoids a sack and throws it into the dirt. The receiver in the area was Jacob Kaiser, the tight end, so no intentional grounding. Avery Williams with an effective corner blitz.
Yeah, caught Jake Eason by surprise. He turns his back on the play action, but shows the mobility to get away from Williams, and then the presence of mind, as you said, Bynum, or not Bynum, but Kaiser right there as he throws it to his feet. Just kind of gives up on that play, which is a smart decision.
Another blitz. And a short game. Aaron Fuller for a couple of yards. So back-to-back blitzes, only 2 yards the first 2 plays. It's 3rd down and 8 now for Washington.
Yeah, they brought outside pressure with Avery Williams. This time they bring the middle linebacker, Wimpy. See what they do here now on 3rd down. It's been a slower, quiet night for Curtis Weaver, 99. Keep talking about his potential on 3rd downs to get home, but it's been Hatida on the other side.
Weaver part of the pass rush here. It's another blitz. He gets home. High throw right at the first down line to gain. It's Bynum. Where do they mark the ball? By about a foot. It looks like he's got it. Now they give him a full yard. What a throw by Eason.
Again, he felt the pressure. That time Weaver did get there, as you said, but the location of the football. Good job by Bynum getting about a yard beyond the first down marker. Then he can work back. Look at this location. Away from the defender and up high, where Bynum can go up away from Avery Williams. Another great throw there by the quarterback, Eason.
And a pretty favorable spot for the Huskies, as they gave them the first down by a full yard. I'm not sure if replay is not going to buzz down. They may want to take another look at the spot of the football, because that was a huge spot, as it looked like Bynum was right at the first down line to gain, and they advanced the ball by a yard.
It looked like right when he caught it that he had the distance for the first down, but immediately tackled by Avery Williams and taken behind the line.
Yep. The previous play is under review.
And I don't think he bobbled the ball, so I think right when he caught it, he had possession of the ball. It looked like forward progress, enough for a first down. So again, the location of the football, not his body, once he catches it.
And even if they spot the football maybe a foot or two back, he only needed to get to the 35-yard line for a first down. It clearly looked like he was at least slightly past the 35 when he possessed the ball.
Yeah, they marked it all the way at the 36. So like you said, if they moved it back a half a yard, it would still be enough. I just thought it was enough with as soon as he made the reception. Avery Williams tight coverage, ball was just perfectly thrown.
That was another little NFL moment, though, there for Jacob Eason.
See right there, he's got it. And it's not his body, it's where the ball is. And I think he has that.
The ruling on the field of the first down is confirmed.
It was a big spot. It was worth looking at, and it's good to see that they got it right.
By the way, not just the location of the football by Eason, but Curtis Weaver finally gets right into his face. He's closing in on him, and he's feeling that, but kept his eyes downfield where he needed to make that throw. And on a big third down. That checks all the boxes if you're a Washington fan trying to secure a victory here. That had everything. They're at 60%, by the way, on third down tonight. Came in 110th in the nation at 34%.
Eason on play action again. He's going to take a shot down the right sideline and overthrows Aaron Fuller. Good coverage from Avery Williams. Second down and 10.
See, again, for people at home, I think you're up 24-7. You're thinking, you know, what's the point here? I think it's an important point that you're sending a message. It's an incompletion, but you're showing an aggressive approach. They're not just holding on here to a 17-point lead, trying to get home and trying to play keep away. They are saying, we're still going after you. We're still going to attack downfield. I think it's a good call to continue to be aggressive.
They'll run one here with Newton. He crab crawls out to about the 41-yard line or so. He picks up 5. So for a team that's 60% tonight on third down, now it's 3rd and 5.
And I'm not saying just throw it. I'm just saying once in a while, I think you can send a message. You can go back to doing what you do with the quick throws, and they've been able to control the line of scrimmage. You can still run the football, but I just like to let the defense know with a 17-point lead that that's still part of the arsenal if we want to go there. If you're going to give it to us, we'll take it.
And it's good to see Salvon Ahmed able to return to the game, as here in the second half, this is his second offensive snap. 3rd down and 5. He's in there to Eason's left. Here comes a blitz. Eason, well protected. Now the pocket collapses, and down he goes. Dimitri Washington gets the sack.
Nice change up here by Boise State. We just talked about how Weaver can do a good job of rushing the quarterback. Instead of bringing him, they actually take him and drop him, and as Otten works across, that's where Eason wanted to go. Look at him, look at the tight end, and look who's right there. Nice job of changing it up there by Schmedding, the defensive coordinators. He drops Weaver right where Washington was looking to go there to convert.
Avery Williams, the Mountain West Conference Special Teams Player of the Year. On the return, gets a block, gets to the rail, stays in bounds, and he's across the 50.
It's been a long time tonight before Jalen Henderson came in. We haven't seen Boise State in plus territory, right? All of a sudden they get a touchdown, they get a stop. Avery Williams with a nice return. They set up the wall down that left side. Some great blocks. Nobody pushes anybody in the back, and Avery Williams gives them great field position at the Washington 46, and here comes Henderson again.
So Jalen Henderson, who last season had 1 passing attempt as the backup quarterback, 13 career passing attempts in 2 years before this year. And here he is again, running the offense, handing it off to Halani. 3 yards up the middle. Molly?
Well, head coach Bryan Harsin went up to Jalen Henderson after that touchdown, said that was exactly what we needed. We're still in this. And keep in mind, Bob, Henderson missed practice with a fever all week. He just had a coughing attack on the sideline, but told teammates he was fine. So if he goes off, could this be his Michael Jordan flu game, Bob?
Well, if he scores a touchdown here, I don't think he's going to be feeling any symptoms other than get me back out on the field.
Oh, yeah. Washington has to respect the quarterback run game when Henderson's in there, so it changes their defensive approach.
To the sideline. Sets up 3rd down and manageable as C.T. Thomas is out of bounds, about a 3-yard shy of the 1st down, and Henderson took a shot.
Yeah, and the most important thing is, like Jacob Eason takes the hit, it's coming right into his face, but delivers an accurate throw. I think that was Onzarike who got back on the field to deliver that blow. Glad to see him back. Remember, he went out a little earlier, but a good throw there by Henderson. Now they've got a chance here, 3rd and 3.
Seven seconds to go in the quarter. Play clock never began. Down to 1 second to go. It goes to zeros, and they're not going to get a snap off before the end of the quarter. So a big third down to start the fourth quarter for Boise State when we come back, as they're trying to crawl back in the game here in Las Vegas. Welcome back to the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. We start the fourth quarter. Photo ops, Muppets, and maybe a closer game as Boise State faced with a big third down to open up the fourth quarter. Bob Wischusen, Kirk Herbstreit, Molly McGrath down on the sideline.
Remember, quarterback run with Henderson, a real threat. Or get him on the edge where he can have the option of running or throwing.
They'll run it with Holani, and he's got no chance. Lost a yard, so now it's 4th down and 4, down 17 in Washington territory. Got to think they're going to go for it.
Yeah, Onwuzurike, Ryan Bowman just blew up the right side of the offensive line. Nowhere to go. And they have no choice, obviously, but to go for this. I still think getting him on the edge is where he's most dangerous. Showing tight man, which gives him crossing routes too.
A rollout for Henderson. Slings one to the sideline. Reaching up to make the catch is Shakir, but he couldn't hold on. Washington gets the stop on downs.
You know, the big concern for Bryan Harsin coming into this game was the physicality when Washington played man-to-man. This time, Elijah Molden isn't necessarily being physical, but he does a really good job of holding his ground, understanding where the first down marker is, and not sinking back into coverage. Took away any chance that Shakir might have had to be able to come up with that catch with tight coverage there, right at the first down marker. Keep talking about Molden. He's a junior. Doesn't get the national recognition, but watching a lot of teams and a lot of defensive backs, he's as good as I've seen this year over the slot.
Eason off play action. He's going to take a long sling to the sideline. Terrell Bynum hauls it in.
Love the approach here. 1st and 10. They're going to get aggressive. Everything is rolling right, except Bynum is working left on kind of a levels concept, and he's able to get that separation. Boise State felt the offense going to their left, the offense is right, and instead kind of catch them napping on 1st and 10 and sneak Bynum in man-to-man coverage, as I said, able to get that separation with that speed.
And off to Sean McGrew. He's got 2 yards to the 40-yard line. Now, if Jacob Eason does indeed make a decision to go to the NFL draft this coming spring, our own Todd McShay has him number 5 behind this top 4. Agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fromm and Eason, it's ironic that they're sitting there at 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Both at one point were at Georgia. His physical skill set is at a different level than Jake Fromm's. I think Fromm, what he has is a lot of big game experience, which helps him. But the thing that Jacob Eason has, much like
getting free, is Salvon Ahmed. A simple swing pass, and just like that, Washington's in the red zone.
A swing pass, and then great blocking downfield by Cade Otten. Also see the receiver out there. Fuller takes a lot of pride. You know, you get a swing pass out like that against man-to-man, you run away from the linebacker, but to get, instead of an 8 or 10-yard gain, to get 20 to 30, it's because of great blocking on the perimeter. That's exactly what he got there. But his physical skill set remind you of Justin Herbert as far as his length, his height. But Herbert's also a 3.5-year starter.
Cameron Davis, he's got a lane. He's got the end zone for another touchdown. There's a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. They've got Luke Wattenberg, the left guard, for a hold.
I think it's more on 70 Jared Hilbers. I think 76 was fine. Watch the left tackle. The left guard's here. I don't think it's on him. I think they just got maybe confused with the numbers. Watch Hilbers pull his man down. That's the call. Wattenberg looked like he was fine to me, the left guard, but
boy, it looked like Cameron Davis was past both of those guys.
Yeah,
by the time they even committed the hold. That's the first penalty of the night against the Huskies, and it wipes away a touchdown. Eason extending the play. Now he's going to take off. And he gets to the sideline. Chased out by Weaver. Let's head down to Molly.
Well, I talked to Jacob Eason about whether or not he's going to declare for the NFL draft. He's talked to his family and friends about it, but he told me that Jimmy Lake being named the new head coach of Washington does change things a little bit for him. He said he likes the energy and the aggression that he brings to both sides of the ball, so that will affect his decision.
You know, Molly, I think it's up to the individual. It just depends on what your goals are. Do you want to develop next year as a backup in the NFL, or do you want to develop and get a lot of valuable reps in a conference like the Pac-12? You know, you can make a case for either side. I think getting those reps is very valuable, though.
There's Richard Newton getting outside. He's inside the 15. Although it does speak to what we talked about earlier, the culture of Coach Petersen. Jimmy Lake now being the heir apparent. They had a 23-player recruiting class. They lost no one.
Yeah, before they made that announcement, they had 23 guys that were verbal.
And all 23 stayed with Washington, knowing that Jimmy Lake was going to be the head coach.
Yeah.
So maybe that feeds into Jacob Eason saying, hey, I'm in this. Not just a recruit that hasn't even gotten here yet.
Sure.
I know what this is all about.
Yeah, and I think that's symbolic of the entire team and how they feel with the announcement of Jimmy Lake taking over as the next head coach.
Wildcat play and a hoist into the end zone. Terrell Bynum hauls it in for a touchdown from Newton.
Well, we saw Boise State on a 4th down have a trick play work out for them, and this time it does for Washington. Watch the safety back in the back here. He kind of slips, eyes in the backfield, realizes Bynum's behind him and loses his balance, goes down, and makes it easy to make that throw. But Boise State surprised and caught off guard with that play call.
Back to a 24-point lead for the Huskies. And the trick play just gets the attention drawn in that secondary for Boise State.
Running backs loving life making that throw, right? He'll never forget that throw.
Here in Las Vegas, which will be the home of the NFL drafts on ESPN and ABC. NFL Network as well, beginning April 23rd. This will be a fun town to be in that weekend, to say the least. How many Huskies will be in that draft? That'll be a big question. Is Hightower set to run one back? And he gets out to about the 24-yard line. And Molly, this is the last time the Las Vegas Bowl will be played here at Sam Boyd Stadium.
Yeah, that's right. It's moving to Allegiant Stadium, which will also be the new home of the NFL's Raiders. I was told that Raiders owner Mark Davis loves race cars, wanted the lines of Allegiant Stadium to look like a race car. You can tell it's a really sleek building. It's also an ode to the franchise's fast identity back in the Al Davis days. And I was lucky enough to get a tour of the stadium, and there were some really cool things about it. The field will be built on a track that allows natural grass to be grow outside and then be rolled in, and UNLV will also play there on artificial turf. So it was really cool to see this before anyone else got to see it.
It's a beautiful looking stadium.
Molly went hard hat on it there.
With the Raiders.
Yeah, with the Raiders logo.
Yeah, I like that.
That was impressive. We drove by that on the way to the UFC headquarters. Massive. I mean, it's an impressive looking stadium.
And this Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl changing up for 2020 will have a Pac-12 team against an SEC or Big Ten opponent. And again, we'll move right down the road closer to downtown to Allegiant Stadium.
You got to believe Vegas will eventually start bidding potentially on some big events, whether obviously the Super Bowl I would think the national championship down the road, this would be a site that I'm sure they would look at. And that facility is going to be as nice as any facility in the country.
We are in Las Vegas, by the way.
Yeah.
In case any of these outfits take you by surprise. Henderson can't drop it in to the tight end Garrett Collingham. So it's 4th and 10.
Just continue to marvel at this secondary. 4 new starters in that back group along with Myles Bryant, and they have had a great night tonight. I mean, and if you look across the board at this defense, a lot of young faces. If you're a Washington Huskies fan, use a win like this as a springboard into 2020. A new head coach and Jimmy Lake, who's your defensive coordinator, has been. But looking down at our board, there's a, depending on what Jacob Eason does, there's a lot of good pieces coming back for this team.
Velasquez with a short punt just across midfield. And we'll have more on Sam Boyd Stadium when we come back to Las Vegas.
The Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl on ABC is brought to you by the carefully curated lineup of crossovers from Mitsubishi Motors. In part by Las Vegas, the NFL Draft comes to Las Vegas in April 2020. And Pacific Life, 150 years strong, protection and retirement solutions for your future.
Any stadium that at some point had David Hasselhoff sing the national anthem in it has a special place in all of our hearts. Sam Boyd Stadium opened back in 1971, the first time it hosted the Las Vegas Bowl. That's the first ticket, 1992. Notable concerts, U2, the Eagles, the Dead played here 14 times. And this is the last football game that will be played in this old stadium. Cutback run. And into the secondary goes Richard Newton for a first down for Washington. Gain of 13.
And the wear and tear of not just the score, but what this Washington offensive line has done to the undersized Boise State defensive line and linebackers starting to really take a toll here now in the 4th quarter.
And there's the hardware. It looks like it's going to be going home with the Huskies. And that trophy will represent the last game won by Chris Petersen on their sidelines. And then in a few days, it'll be the first team meeting with Jimmy Lake, calling his group in after the new year. Newton again. Breaking tackles again. He's got 8 more.
Fun sitting down with Jimmy Lake. We had our crew had a chance to sit down with him, and then right after Chris Petersen. And it's one of the rare moments, I think, in any of our careers where 1 second you're sitting down with not just today's defensive coordinator, but the eventual head coach in waiting. And then he walks out of the room, and Chris Petersen steps in and sit down and talk to him about trying to focus on this game. But of course, all of us are wanting to hear more about his decision to step down and how he just needed to just kind of back off from being a head coach.
You got some Boise State fans that are here to thank Coach Pete as well, as he won 92 games as their head coach before heading to Seattle. Ahmed turned back and dropped for a loss. Safari Buffalo came up to make the stop. Losses this season for Washington by a total of 25 points. And ask Jimmy Lake, is there any moral victory in that you lost so much? And with Chris Petersen announcing his retirement, can you build on this for next year? And he said, really, for our guys, losing 5 games that close, no moral victory. It's just a reason to be angry.
Yeah.
Ahmed wrapped up and thrown down. It'll be 4th down and 3.
I also asked him, where do you want to go? Is it the exact same program moving forward, or is it what's going to be your approach? What's going to be your signature? And he talked a little bit about physicality offensively, we have that defensively. We need to have that offensively. Tonight is a pretty good example of what he's talking about. I think this offensive line has been dominant. This is probably an idea of what Jimmy Lake envisions when you look forward to Washington and who they want to be. Control the line of scrimmage, have enough, obviously, in their passing game to make people respect that, or you can still attack on the edges.
Chris Petersen calls a timeout.
They're first.
The play clock had wound down before 4th down and 3. And we'll have more on the two coaches when we come back. Here's our clutch delivery brought to you by Chipotle.
Broncos are going for 2. And it's a big play. They're going to get it. Liam Johnson. Jabrowski faked the pass. Johnson ran it in for a touchdown. And the Broncos have won the Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it?
For a great program, that's probably the signature moment in program history. That trick play, that win. Chris Petersen was the head coach. Of course, Bryan Harsin was his offensive coordinator, beating Oklahoma in the 2007 Fiesta Bowl.
I think the hook and lateral also equally impressive.
Swing pass on 4th down. Easily picking it up, Sean McGrew. College football would be better for it if Chris Petersen stayed in the game. Maybe he will be back, but he's got some kind of a career resume. 92-12 in 8 seasons at Boise State.
Close to 80% winning percentage. See the 8 years, what he did at Boise State, taking over for Dan Hawkins. Just felt that it was the right time. He said this has been, it wasn't like he decided week 7. He said this has been, I've had this feeling for years. And he finally just decided to respond to it.
Richard Newton into the red zone. And as we said, Jimmy Lake is going to take over. And his journey, well, it began back in Spokane, where he went to high school and, of course, became a player at Eastern Washington. 5 years in the NFL, but it seems like he really found his belief in a culture apprenticing under Coach Petersen.
Yeah, he's been around a lot of impressive NFL coaches, but I agree. I think his time at Boise and then what he did in Seattle as a defensive coordinator. And he had a lot of options. I thought that was interesting. He talked about last couple years, he's had a lot of opportunities to go become a head coach, but he wanted to wait for this one.
Newton dives down to the 16-yard line.
And I'm sure that the brain trust in Seattle were well aware of the potential of losing him, and here he is. And the fact that Coach Petersen was ready to step down, it was a no-brainer who they were going to bring in as the head coach. And like we talked about, you can maintain the continuity that Chris Petersen's been able to establish for 6 years by keeping it in-house with Jimmy Lake. And anytime, if you want to know how it's working, you have 23 verbals before the announcement that Chris Petersen's going to resign. And then they make the announcement that Jimmy Lake will be the head coach, early signing period on Wednesday, and they keep all 23 of them.
Again, it's Richard Newton in the Wildcat formation. He takes the direct snap. And he's inside the 15-yard line before he's turned back. Close to a first down, about a yard short. So it will be 4th down again for Washington with 4.5 minutes to go.
I think what Chris Petersen was envisioning this night, this matchup against his former team, I don't think he thought 31-7 with 4 to go in the 4th quarter.
I don't think when the bowl matchups were announced, this is what Chris Petersen was hoping to see. Right? His old team and his old right-hand man as his final opponent. But the storyline has played out in Washington's favor all night. They're going for it on 4th down again. Eason will try a quarterback sneak. And let's see where they spot the football. He may be just short. We'll see. And they put it right down on the line to gain. That's going to be a first down. You can kick off your Week 16 NFL Sunday on ESPN and the ESPN app tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. The Countdown crew in Philly ahead of a big Cowboys-Eagles NFC East showdown of all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and preview each game right up to kickoff. And then Week 16 Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers and the 11-3 Packers looking to clinch the NFC North against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. It's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes and the ESPN app for Monday Night Football. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Newton down to about the 12-yard line. A pickup of 1.
Chewing up clock. Over 6 minutes on his drive by going for it twice on 4th down. Boise State defense is tired. It's not that they played and had to defend a lot of plays. It's Washington only had 66 plays overall, but like I said, the wear and tear of this style game, as well as Eason has played, he's only thrown for 210 yards. It's been really more about the line of scrimmage tonight, and that could take a toll on you, obviously, over a 4-quarter game, especially when you're down 31-7.
And off to Ahmed, breaks a tackle at the goal line and padding the lead for the Huskies with another touchdown. As Salvon Ahmed, his second rushing touchdown of the night.
Well, Chris Petersen up 38-7. Offensive lines had a great night. Been a rotation of backs. They've done their job. Eason, everything is in place the way Chris Petersen likes to see it as they go up by 31 with 2:29 to go. Back.
We are back with our Bowl Challenge Cup standings brought to you by Progressive. This is last season. Conference USA had a good year in the Bowl Challenge Cup. See how it plays out this year. Mountain West went 3-2. And normally they can count on Boise State to be a part of a winning result. Short kick to Halani. And he's out to about the 37-yard line. 2:23 to go in the 4th quarter here in Las Vegas. We're back in Las Vegas with our Pacific Life game summary. At Kirk Herbstreit, this was a game that was won with Jacob Eason playing terrific football at the quarterback spot, but Washington won this game at the line of scrimmage.
On both sides. You can talk about the quarterbacks and the receivers all you want, but you see the turnovers where they were able to get a couple turnovers and turn them into points. But the defense from Washington, outstanding and physical and fast in that secondary.
And they've got Hank Bachmeier back in to close out the game at quarterback. Checks one down to Evans. And he picks up about 9 yards. Bowl season continues Monday afternoon. The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. It'll be UCF, led by Dylan Gabriel at quarterback and Gabriel Davis at wide receiver against a good Marshall defense. Monday, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
What do you make of the conferences, the bragging rights, the standings? You put much stock into that or not so much?
If my team wins their bowl game, probably a little bit more stock into it, but I'm just hoping Boston College gets back into a bowl game at some point down the road.
Well, you got a good coach.
Yes, that was a good hire.
Coach. But Reese Davis and I go back and forth. I think that fans really get into that. Like you said, if your team wins and your conference ends up doing well, then you probably make a big deal out of how the conference did. And if they didn't, you probably think, well, I'm just worried about my team.
Andrew Van Buren. And the college football playoff semifinals coming your way on Saturday, December 28th on ESPN and the ESPN app. Joe Burrow and LSU against Oklahoma and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl at 4 Eastern. Then at 8 Eastern, Ohio State Clemson and the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. The winners head to the national championship game Monday, January 13th on ESPN as Bachmeier goes to the sideline to stop the clock As C.T. Thomas toe taps out of bounds, and a really strong performance tonight for Jacob Eason.
Yep. A great game, and now he's got a big decision to make. If he comes back, Washington will be picked among the league leaders as far as trying to chase a Pac-12 championship. You know, Oregon's going to be out there, and Utah, and USC's trying to bounce back next year with Clay Helton. But you got to like the nucleus of this team, and even though you lose Chris Petersen, Jimmy Lake, in the direction of this team, there's a lot to like about the Huskies.
Bachmeier on a scramble, gets to the sideline, and is out of bounds at the 21 with 47 seconds to go.
See, the Sooners continue to, you know, not only do they have their hands full in the matchup to begin with, but they lose a couple key players, especially Ronnie Perkins, their best pass rusher by far. And now they've lost a starting safety to a broken collarbone. So that is not good news for Lincoln Riley and the Sooners.
Yeah, you can't afford to lose any defensive players going up against that offense and how it's been humming all year. C.T. Thomas stays on his feet inside the 11, close to the 10-yard line.
That Fiesta will be interesting with Dabo Swinney feeling his team's been slighted all year, playing with a chip on their shoulder, anxious to prove who they are and how good they are. And I think Ohio State feeling a little bit, they've kind of played with a chip on their shoulder all year, trying to prove that they can win without Urban Meyer.
Bachmeier back of the end zone for Hightower, incomplete. And fans tune into the ESPN app after the game. The post-game trophy ceremony presented by Capital One will follow immediately after the game ends over on the ESPN app. Yeah, Dabo has somehow managed to take a team that hasn't lost a game in 2 years,
and a quarterback that's never lost,
that has won championships 2 out of the last 3 years, and convinced his entire roster they're disrespected. Bachmeier into the end zone, incomplete, but they've dropped a couple of times after big wins this year, so he's been able to sell that narrative to his team.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you could see why he feels. I mean, they've won by an average of 42 points since their close call. Wasn't a loss, a close call against North Carolina. And they probably were being kind by only winning by an average of 42. They probably could have won by over 50 per game if they really wanted to. Most of their starters were out in the fourth quarter. But the narrative is more about they haven't played anybody. That's why I think they're anxious to go play in that bowl game.
Hightower lost the football. It is scooped up. Jackson Sermon heading the other way. He's got blockers out in front, being chased down by Shakir and brought down at the 32-yard line.
Chris Petersen just gets his final ice bath there as far as being a head coach of the Washington Huskies. There's Jimmy Lake, one of the first ones to greet him and give him a hug. Well, how about Jackson? I told you Jackson Sherman. I live in Nashville. He from the high school there in Nashville. Really talented player. It's a scoop and almost a score, but it's all about Chris Petersen at this point with 8 seconds to go. Players love him. He teaches so much more than just trying to win football games. He's quick to point that out when you sit down and talk to him. He really emphasizes not just academics, but just trying to teach an 18-year-old kid who comes into his program about becoming a man and making tough decisions in life. And can't think of a better mentor and a guy that you could look up to as a coach than Chris Petersen.
He told us he always has kind of that exit interview with the seniors. Yeah. And when the seniors sit down and he says, if you were to tell a recruit, someone younger, someone outside the program, and you were to describe our program to someone from the outside, what words would you use? And he's always happy when they don't talk about football. When football terms aren't what they use. When they talk about togetherness and unity and belief and friendship and brotherhood and things like that. And he will leave as a winner as Washington has taken down Boise State in the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. And Chris Petersen will win his final game on the Huskies sideline. Let's head down to Molly.
Coach, this is the last time that you're going to walk off the field as Washington's head coach. You're going to do so soaking wet and as a winner.
Yeah.
How much does this mean to you?
It's awesome. It's awesome for the program, seniors, for Jimmy, heading forward. It's awesome.
You built strong foundations for both of these programs on the field today. What are you most proud of in your time as a head coach?
Yeah, just that. We've all done, all the coaches. Some of those guys are on that sideline, some are on that sideline. Great coaches I've been blessed to be a part of, and yeah, it's been a great ride.
How will this win springboard your team into the Jimmy Lake era?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. We just keep talking about winning the bowl game, and so I'm really happy for this program heading forward.
What are you going to say to your team in the last post-game locker room celebration?
I think the speeches are over. This is Jimmy's speech now. I'm good.
Do I see you getting a little emotional, Coach?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Bob.
He can try to deny those emotions as much as anyone would to hold it together, but it's coursing through his veins.
Yeah, without a doubt. You can just see, again, he is respected and loved, not just because it's Boise State. He's just one of those personalities in the sport. That's why I think everybody was not just surprised, but somewhat devastated when he decided to step away at such a young age. We'll see. You never know. 2, 3, 4 years down the road,
right,
what might happen. He's not claiming to say, I'm never going to coach again. He just needs to step down right now.
Some guys, when they step away, stay away. But generally speaking, coaches coach, right? It's just in their blood.
Yep.
And so we'll see if that is what happens down the road for Chris Petersen. But at least for tonight, he enters his would-be retirement with a win in his hip pocket in his last game on the sidelines at Washington. And he's just one of those guys that's what's good about college football.
I thought Jimmy Lake's point when he said, we were asking, what kind of guy is he? What's he like to work for? He said, he's this kind of guy. He'll hand you a book. It's not just a random book. He said he handed me a book. To this day, I have notes that I took from that book on my head, whether it was his office.
The nightstand, I think, next to his bed.
Right to by his bed.
That's the last thing he looks at before he goes to sleep. Some quotes from the book that he got from Coach Pete.
Yeah, so Coach Pete, he doesn't just hand you a book, but he thinks about a book that could have an impact on you and your life.
We've got our Capital One player of the game down on the field with Molly.
Thank you, Bob. Jacob, Coach Petersen didn't want this game to be about him, but how good does it feel to send him off with a win?
It's awesome, especially in this situation. You can tell the dude's so passionate about this game and this team, and both of these teams really in Seattle and University of Washington. He's an outstanding guy to play for. I learned so much from him, and this team did, and going out with this is huge, and we got to dump the ice on him and all that stuff. Just a great way to go out with Coach.
Speaking of passion, your team played with so much aggression and dominance today. How motivated were you guys by the fact that this was your last one with Coach Petersen?
That played a part in it, but at the same time, these guys just came out. We had a great week of practice, great prep, and kind of bouncing off the Apple Cup win, we kind of just kept that fire and tenacity going, and we played really well up front with some guys who didn't have much experience who stepped in, and then we had guys made plays outside, and our running backs ran the ball really well, and I think we just came out and played our game and put Coach Pete out with the dub.
There's also question about whether or not this will be your last game with the Huskies. How will you go about that decision-making process in the coming weeks?
Yeah, it's just going to be a lot of talk with my family and Coach Lake and Coach Petersen, Coach Hamden, and just trying to figure myself out and then go from there.
Do you know yet what you're going to do?
I don't, no.
All right, well, best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Bob, back to you.
All right, we will anxiously await to see what Jacob Eason decides to do, and we're also anxiously awaiting the start of SportsCenter over on ESPN. John Anderson, Michael Eaves are standing by, breaking down Bills Patriots with the AFC East title up for grabs. Rams 49ers post-game press conferences as well. Reactions from all 6 bowl games today. It's SportsCenter next on ESPN and the ESPN app. A win for Coach Petersen as 38-7 is the final Washington over Boise State. Coming up on the ESPN app, the post-game trophy ceremony presented by Capital One. For Molly McGrath and Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Bob Wischusen saying so long from Las Vegas. Congratulations to the Huskies, the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl winners. Let's send things back to Kevin Nagandi, Jonathan Vilma, and Mark Sanchez in the studio.